All right, hello sixth graders. Today we're going to be working on adding negative numbers. So as you can see right here, I have three negative numbers that I'm going to add. I have negative 15 plus negative 46 plus negative 29. And before we start trying to add these up, let's just visualize what these numbers look like on a number line. So if I'm going to draw a number line to represent each of these numbers, I'm going to start here. I know that 0 is here. And if I'm going to first look at negative 15, I know that negative 15 is going to be to the left of my 0. So I have negative 15. And one thing when we're looking at this negative 15 is if we take the distance from 0 to 15, that's going to be the absolute value of negative 15. Or remember, that's just the fancy way of saying the distance from 0. So I have a negative 15 here, and the distance from 0 is 15 marks on my number line. And I'm going to the left, so it's negative. Okay. Let's look at my next number. So I have another number line. We're going to look at negative 46. So here's my negative 46. If we draw our number line, we have our 0 here. Negative 46 is way down this way compared to negative 15. And if I look at my arrow going all the way to negative 46, that distance from 0 to 46, to negative 46, is just 46. So the absolute value again. And then our last number, try to make my number line nice and neat. I have my 0, and then I have negative 29. It's not quite as far as 46, but it's definitely farther than 15. And if I look at the distance then, from 0, the distance or the absolute value is 29. Okay. So now what does this mean? If I'm going to add all these numbers together, I'm going to just stack these distances on top of one another on another number line. Just as a really nice visual. Let's make a number line here. Okay. And I'm going to stack them on top of each other. So here's my 0. And let's start with our negative 15. So my negative 15 is going to make a distance going about that way. And I get to this point, it's negative 15, oops, and this distance up here is 15. Now, I'm going to add my negative 46 on top of that. So here's my negative 46, which has a distance, or the absolute value, of 46. And then on top of that, our last number to add is negative 29. So let's add my negative 29. And then there's 29 with a distance of 29. So what number do I get when I land all the way out here? What number is that? Well, I just have to add up all of these distances. So if I have 15, oops, that's the wrong one. If I have 15 plus 46 plus, not 9, plus 29, if I add those all together, I have 5 plus 6 is 11, plus 9 is 20. So I'll carry my 20 and put my zeros down here. And then if I have 2 plus 1, that's 3, plus 4 is 7, plus 2 more is 9. So I have 90. And what I need to remember though is that all these numbers are stacking to the left. So my final answer, this distance right here, is a negative distance. So I'm going to write my answer as negative 90. A kind of fancy way to write this is I know that my number is going to be negative since I'm stacking all of these negative numbers on top of each other. So I'm going to have my negative, and then I'm going to put inside of parentheses the absolute value of negative 15 plus the absolute value of 46. Remember, these two lines just means absolute value or the distance, right? So if the absolute value of negative 15 is just 15. And then the plus the absolute value of negative 29. I'm going to close my parentheses. And then this goes to negative, and inside my parentheses, let's simplify my absolute values. So the absolute value of negative 15, remember, is just 15 plus the absolute value of negative 46, which is just 46, plus the absolute value of negative 29, which is just 29. All of this equals negative, and then my answer in my parentheses, which we added up down here, so I already know, is 90. So my answer is negative 90. And here's just a couple different ways to do that. I have this kind of visual representation to make us understand what those negative numbers are, and then we have this equation to help us really look at it and see what is going on.